What's up, everybody? This is take 963. But on this episode, we talk about how to move forward in a way that builds value and relationships on social media. What's up, everybody? Welcome to DISRUPTu episode 70. It's so good to be back. Oh, here we are. The first time sitting on this couch, shooting a video in 2.5 months. Social, physical distancing as I'm spitting. Here we are. All right, look, so since the last DISRUPTu episode, there have been, I can't list everything that's changed, right? Things from March 10th were one way, March 11th dumped the world on its head, spinning around in circles, and that's where we're at right now. Everything is jumbled up and crazy. The funeral profession went through gathering restrictions, and now things are starting to open up. It presents an amazing opportunity for funeral homes to really drill into social and engaging the community. So here's what we know. This pandemic has really moved the profession ahead, probably about 5 years in the way that we embrace technology and use technology and live streaming funerals. Less than 25% of funeral homes in the US had the ability to live stream on March 11th when they needed to start it. So now we're ramping up the technology in the funeral homes. Funeral homes that were prepared are winning. Funeral homes that had set up social strategies and were engaging their communities are continuing to win and have been able to actually deepen those relationships with their consumer by giving immense value. Here's the thing. There's 3 camps of funeral homes and cemeteries over the last 2.5 months. One, we're not really doing anything on social media. That's not going to work. That's still not going to work. One, we're not really doing anything on social media. Camp 1. Camp 2, yes, we pay for some automated generic content. We pay a fee. Every month we get 30 posts. We schedule them out. Click of a button. We're doing social media. And then there's 3 funeral homes who actually have a social media strategy, creating organic content, real-time content, and building relationships. That camp number 3, crushing. Didn't skip a beat through the pandemic because immediately they were able to pivot the content strategy to focus on what they were doing in real time to address virtual arrangements, gathering restrictions. They were able to showcase what they were doing in the funeral home to make it safe for states that were allowed to have people in the funeral home 10 at a time. We had clients that were setting up different rooms in the funeral home where they could hold 10 people at a time and then cycle 10 out, cycle 10 in. Didn't skip a beat on social. Camp 1 and 2, Camp 1 completely lost because they've got no way to really build an audience overnight so they can engage the consumer and let the consumer know what's happening with restrictions and things in real time. And then Camp 2 that was automating, well, they just kept the automated content rolling, and it was content that was really irrelevant for the time period that we're in. Listen, you want to be in Camp 3. You want to have the goals. You want to have the content strategy. You want to have a fluid strategy that can pivot, that can change, that can, something happens real time. Great. You can immediately interject that conversation into the content that you have going out. But the value of Camp 3, the word I want to focus on is value. You are creating deeper relationships that go below surface level with the consumer. And you got to give them things to engage with that aren't just funerally. Right now is the perfect opportunity to have that pre-need conversation. But if you haven't built that following and that engagement up to this point, all you're going to do is be selling to people. So if you've nurtured through contests, through different campaigns, community events, real live events when we used to be able to do those, and you've built your following and you've built the engagement of people around who you are, what you do, and how you do it better than anybody else, you can immediately turn on that pre-need conversation right now when people have their own mortality at the forefront as we go through this pandemic. listen, we do a lot of work with life insurance companies that sell final expense insurance because it maps perfectly to pre-need. Final expense insurance and life insurance is up in the month of May over a year ago in the month of May. People have it at the forefront. Now's a great time to captivate those relationships that you already have and interject that pre-need conversation to where you can bring value into that conversation for the consumer. So we have shifted our focus. If you were prepared prior to the pandemic to have a great social media strategy and be engaging your consumer online and building those relationships, you absolutely can leverage this time right now and continue to win. The relationships are going deeper. The connection is stronger. You're more a fabric of your community than you've ever been before, because we're starting to see the inherent need that funeral homes provide in that grieving process, right? It is powerful stuff. And as we go through the next 5-6 months, as we start to develop what a new normal looks like, we're going to be serving families that have massive grief and mental health issues because of deaths that occurred back here during this pandemic, and they didn't get the visitation. They didn't get the community engagement. They didn't get to see their loved one before they passed. They couldn't go to the hospital. They couldn't come into the funeral home to view the body. Like, there are real issues that are going to come to the forefront that, if you're engaged in social and you've built these relationships, you're going to be able to hold those families and cuddle them through this time and be an important piece to that puzzle. So, you got to give value. If you're in camp 1 or 2, now's the time. You got to step up. You cannot deny the fact that social media and technology and engaging the consumer online is valuable. You can't deny that anymore. Up until the pandemic, sure, you could say that, look, we've got all these other ways that we can reach consumers. Guess what? All those things were cut off. No more gatherings, no more events, no more community functions, no more Rotary, no more. All of those things were cut off, and your only connection to the community was online marketing and social media. And if you didn't have a knack for that platform, you didn't have that set up prior to then, you're stuck right now. So the ability to take this opportunity to go full bore into social, align with a company that's going to help you set goals and have that strategy in place, so when the next thing comes, you're fully prepared to give value after value after value to your community and build those relationships that are going to seed future business and more at-need call volume. Okay. Whew. I felt heated during that. I was probably way too loud, but you know what? I love you. I'm good. I'm so glad to be back. And the impact that we can have together going forward on consumers can be monumental. So until next time, keep disrupting.